For once in my life, I got the support of someone in the Catholic Church. I don't want to bitch and moan, but you know, it's been difficult because what you have, what is a Catholic? A Catholic loves to internalize the commands of his oppressor. He loves to be considered a good person in the eyes of people who are his enemy, and as a result, he becomes completely ineffective. Jesus Christ never said that we would not have enemies, but he said we should love our enemies. We should love our enemies. And I know you're shaking your head, but I believe that. It's hard to do sometimes, but I believe. So I'm telling you right now, I love the Jews. Why do I love the Jews? Because they are my enemy. Because I know they are they are not my... This is the Christian reaction. This is what Jesus Christ told me to do. I'm just following the book that they gave me. If you read 1 Thessalonians 2, St. Paul says, the Jews, they are the people that killed Christ. They are enemies of the entire human race. I didn't say that. St. Paul said that. I'm a follower of this guy. Why am I the only guy talking this way? Don't these people read the Bible? I went to Rome. I visited with a high official in the Vatican. It's Department of State. I said, you know, we got a problem here. You're not preaching the gospel. That's the gospel. I don't know what you're preaching. I said there are 3 areas: church and state, the Jews, usury. You're not preaching this gospel. He said, forget about the Jews. Nobody's going to talk about it here. Okay. But he said, if you give me something on usury, I'll put it in the encyclical. Well, I did, and he did. So it's in the encyclical. It's in Laudate Si, if you want to read it. And then on when the Pope last September went to the United Nations, he said the U word. He said usury. First time a Pope has said this in over 100 years. So, you know, it's a mixed bag. And I'm here to say that the struggle is worth it. But the struggle is, before we get involved in a big struggle, it would be good to figure out how we got into this mess. How did we get into this mess where we are controlled by 3 groups of people who are by definition no more than 1% of the population? The oligarchs. Remember Occupy Wall Street? We coined the term the 1%. Goldman Sachs. The Jews, 1% of the society, and the homosexuals, 1% of the society. How do we get to this point? How do we get to this point? The answer is lack of unity. Remember what I said about unity? Where did the lack of unity begin? When did it begin? It began in England with the Reformation. Remember Mr. Tyndall and Elizabethan England? What was Elizabethan England? It was a police state. It was the first police state. And if you didn't like it, you got drawn and quartered. And it was so intolerable that the English themselves rose up against it. They could not stand this police state. What was the police state? Why did they have that police state? What was the Reformation? The Reformation was a looting operation. It was a looting operation. It was the theft. It was the theft of the property of the Catholic Church by greedy aristocrats, head of which was Henry VIII, the greediest of all the aristocrats.